Welcome to Voices from the Bench, a dental laboratory podcast. Send us an email at info@voicesfromthebench.com or look for us on Facebook at Voices from the Bench. Greetings and welcome to episode number 46. My name is Elvis Dahl.
My name's Barbara Wojin.
I went running this morning, and my water bottle froze.
Nice.
Yeah, that's the first time it's ever happened.
I wouldn't think in that weather you'd need a water bottle.
Well, you just gotta get out there prepared. You gotta be careful. Well, we have some exciting things happening at Voices from the Bench.
Yay.
We are excited, honored, and pleased to announce that we have a new sponsor for our show. Now, this is something that Barb and I have been talking about for months. With the expense of running the podcast, travels to Voices of Dentistry, getting ready for Lab Day, and of course April's DLAT meeting, we felt it was time. We didn't want just anyone to sponsor us. We wanted to partner up with a company that felt as passionate about our industry as Barb and I do.
And as passionate about our podcast, and who's a huge fan all along, supporting us and letting us know that he enjoys our podcasts and he listens to them on the way to his workouts, and he's been really, really supportive.
So we wanted to choose a company that is going to promote the growth and success that will allow our industry to thrive for years to come. Not a company that caters to taking business and money away from laboratories, but a company that gives money regularly to educate and promote our industry. We welcome Noack Dental Supplies to the Voices from the Bench family.
Yay!
With their support, Barb and I hope to get the podcast to many new listeners and places. We thank you, Noack Dental Supplies.
Thank you.
We continue our conversation from last week with the Denture Man, James Angelone. Last week, we heard about how he got here. This week, we pick his brain about impression materials, acrylics, and fixed hybrid cases. Everything a technician working alongside a prosthodontist would know. So join us again as we talk with the Denture Man.
Roll it.
Noack Dental Supplies is celebrating its 75th year of servicing the dental laboratory industry. Coming to Chicago this year? Visit Noack Dental Supplies at both Cal Lab and Lab Day. Noack Dental Supplies will be in the main ballroom for Cal Lab, and then catch Noack Dental Supplies again at Lab Day in the Armin Gearbach Ballroom, and also visit their booth, B47, bingo, in the main exhibit hall. They will have new product offerings and a ton of specials to take advantage of. Stop by and get a special birthday present for their 75th year. And if you see Sean Noack, make sure you let him know he doesn't look a day over 70. And don't forget to stop by their booth and tell them that you heard them here on Voices from the Bench, or visit them at noackdental.com. Voices from the Bench. The interview.
Things are changing pretty fast in dentistry these days.
Wow.
We originally talked about you coming on. Mm-hmm. My thought was, even myself, someone who's in a lab all the time, I get questions about, hey, I need to take an impression. What do you want me to use?
Yes.
I don't know what to tell them. The only thing I know is medium body around an implant and heavy body everywhere else is what I've always been told.
Which is true. So the things with impression materials today, the difference in viscosities from extra light all the way to a putty, and there's everything in between. Now, the lighter you get with your impression material, the lower viscosity you get, like the LV or the super light body, you actually get more detail, while the heavier you get, the less detail you get. So if you can kind of think of like the lab putty, you just slap it down on some teeth, you don't get detail. But if you take light body and you just put it on the teeth, even though it runs everywhere, it picks up everything. So what I always tell them is, go ahead and load up the trays with medium body and do light body or extra light around the prep or the implant, and that will show the really good detail where we need it. But you don't want to load the whole tray up with a low viscosity material and just watch it goes down the patient's throat.
Yeah.
So it's a happy medium of what impression material at that time.
So you say light body still works around like impression coping?
Oh yeah, definitely. I would say, yeah, even a prep or any implant, if you go with light, the detail around there would be a lot nicer. The lower viscosity material, it will definitely show up more detail, and that goes with all manufacturers.
Well, there you go, Elvis. Now you know what to say.
Yeah, I do know what to say now. So I know there's different types of impression material.
Right.
Polyether. I mean, we already mentioned alginate, and I know there's another one, isn't there?
Yeah, there's a polyether and there's a PVS, polyvinyl siloxane, which is probably the most common in dentistry, is the polyvinyl siloxane. But the polyether, the polyethers, they're a lot more hydrophilic. Like the Impergum, or what I use a lot is the Idenium from Kettenbach, which is like Impergum. Mm-hmm. Now the thing with the Impergum is the shore hardness on the Impergum is very, very up there, the shore hardness. So when we actually pour the models up and we try to take the models out of the impression, we notice like sometimes we actually break the teeth out of the models because the impression material is hard. But the polyether, like Impergum or Idenium, it does like moisture and it does like minor, like a little bit of blood or spit, it's fine. Mm-hmm. While like the blood or the spit will mess up the polyvinyl siloxane impression material. So that's the reason why we use a lot of the Idenium, because it's the polyether.
Yep. Another
thing with the polyether impressions, like the Impergum or the Idenium, you have to watch out, especially with Impergum. Impergum, you really want to wait 6 hours to pour up that model, because of the fact that the Impergum will actually express gases for 6 hours after the impression has been taken. And what actually happens to our models, it comes out like almost like bubbling. Like you can actually see where the gases were trying to like infiltrate our stone while it was curing. And it made it all like bubbly and very brittle.
And that's what's polyether.
That's the polyether. So that's it's a 6 hour pour up.
Interesting.
With those. So
but a 6 hour wait.
6 hour wait.
Compared to like an alginate where they always say you got to do it in like 30 seconds or it's going to explode.
With the alginates, you have a 30-minute window.
Yeah.
You have a 30-minute window from the second that things come out of the patient's mouth to pour it up. But then with like denture impressions, which we do a ton of, prosthodontist and myself, we actually use rubber base like they used to use in the old school. And the rubber base for denture impressions is absolutely the best impression material out there, because you can get rubber base, I'm saying stupid thin, and it will not show through the tray. So it's very mucostatic and hydrophilic, so it will like the moisture. But the mucostatic is when we put that impression in the patient's mouth and actually start muscle trimming it, it'll actually go and stay where we put it, instead of like slumping down like a PVS would. But with the rubber base, you actually have a 6 hour window to pour it up. So just like the Impergum, you have a wait time. You have let's hit this impression pretty fast. With rubber base, you really want to pour it up within 6 hours before it starts distorting itself too. I mean, it's not going to distort itself where the denture's not going to fit, but the manufacturer says 6 hours.
Is that the material you choose when you're doing edentulous patients?
Yes. Edentulous and relines will actually use rubber base, and we use Coflex from GC America. And we'll actually use fast set in the summertime and regular set in the wintertime, just because of the heat and the ops and the outside. The setting times would actually be too fast with the fast material in the summer.
You don't have central air?
Well, we do, but I have a big head and I have a lot of hot air coming out of it, so.
I've got a question. You're talking about blood and spit. When you're in the mouth and you're doing conversions, not necessarily in the mouth when the doctor's in the mouth and you're right there next to him. How long did it take you to get used to that environment with all of the blood and the surgery? And, is that the part that you do like? Is that the part you don't like? And then also, tell me what can go wrong, like if you're in surgery and, tell me a little bit about the good and the bad. So I'll start with, how do you get used to it? Because there's pictures on Facebook, and I've been a dental technician for a long time, but I have a real hard time with some of those photographs.
I'll send you some. So that was my very first conversion when we were talking years ago when I was doing it with Toman. And we sat down with the periodontist, we sat down with the dentist, and we were like, okay, this is what's going to happen. That was the first time that I've ever seen dental surgery. So at the free clinic, it was just dentures. I've never, pus, blood, all that good stuff, never seen that. So we get to the first surgery, and it's go time, So my first one was actually a double. We did an upper and lower in one hit.
Oh, geez, for your first time.
First time. And the patient had all of her teeth. And she just had really bad periodontal disease. So she had some, class 3 and class 4 mobility on her teeth. So they came out pretty easy, but the infection, the pus, and everything else that came out with it, I didn't enjoy that.
Yeah.
I was like kind of behind the dentist. I'm like, this is too nuts.
So you didn't fall over? I would have been on the floor at that point, literally.
But it's kind of like, at that time, I'm like, what am I doing? This is this is that took a second to get used to.
Yeah.
But now that's my favorite part because, with the all-on-4, and you were saying something that, what can go wrong? The biggest thing that go wrong in these cases is not enough reduction. And we see that in every single lab is about the reduction. So now when it's time for the reduction and most of the techs are back, setting up their areas, myself and the prosthodontist are very in there in the operatory, making sure the reduction we need happens. Because we all know that's the biggest hurdle that we could face with these cases.
Wow.
How much vertical clearance do you try to get?
We get 15.
Oh, there's no question, huh?
We get 15, but what all this, all the lectures and the studies out there, and we say, we need 15 mils of restorative space. That is after healing. We try for the 15 millimeters of restorative space during the day of surgery, but sometimes when they close that tissue, the tissue could actually be anywhere from 2 millimeters to 4 millimeters thick.
Yep.
With the scar tissue and everything else. So a lot of the surgeons and the periodontists, they understand that we need to reduce and we need to flatten the bone. But they don't understand is that we lose space through the tissue. I mean, we'll lose a good amount of space. And we hate having the patients go back to the periodontist just to get a little tissue smoothed out for us.
Wow. In my head, I was thinking it would resorb. And so I was thinking you were going to say there's always a little more. So maybe that's my ignorance. But so it's really the opposite.
Yeah, the tissue and bone will remodel and tighten up. But the crest of the bone would pretty much stay where we had the all-on-4 shelf day of surgery. Around the bone will kind of smooth out. And that's where we get our remodeling, and that's where the tissue tightens up.
That is cool.
But after all the remodeling, if you would take a perio probe and just put it right through a patient's gums, it'll be a minimum of 2 millimeters thick of tissue all the way up to 4. So
that's amazing.
Actually lecture to oral surgeons. We actually say, we need you guys doing a better job with the suturing. The periodontist suture like it's their job. But the periodontists have a hard issue of removing the bone. But they're really good with the tissue. So we would just love if there was a periodontist oral surgeon.
That's interesting you say that.
That would be your ideal, right?
Yeah. You could be an animal with a bone, but when it comes down to tissue, that's the issue,
Yeah. It's either you're a seamstress or a bone hacker.
Oh, God.
I'll send you pictures.
You can send them to Elvis.
My favorites on Facebook is a dental video, but to click it, you have to go past the warning that it might contain graphic images,
Those are always my favorite. I'm like, let's see what he did.
Yeah. Well, thank you for answering my questions.
Oh, no worries.
So what acrylics do you use? What teeth do you use? What are your favorites?
Now, that is a great topic. So acrylics in the dental field are plentiful. So we have pore acrylic, which is not pore as in like, it's cheap. Then we have pack acrylic and injectable acrylics and self-cure acrylics. Well, different acrylics actually have different porosities in the acrylic themselves. The pore acrylics will have the most porosity in the acrylic. But if you go all the way to the other spectrum of injectable acrylic, and the acrylic I use is the Ivo base from Ivoclar. The Ivo base actually has the least amount of porosity, and this is why I spent the big dollar to get the IVO-based machine. Because in a complete denture, if the patient starts building up a yeast infection, also known as denture stomatitis, with the candida that builds up, we could just tell the patient to take the denture out, soak it in a little bit of diluted bleach, or even put it in the microwave to kill the candida. And they'll just need a nice reline, and the tissue will come back to a nice healthy state. But when we start fixing these dentures in patients' mouths, like the conversion with the all-on-4 Pro Arch cases, we can't take the prosthesis out to clean it.
Yeah.
About 7 years ago, I did my own little personal study, and my stepfather's brother is a microbiologist. So I asked him to kind of educate me on microbiology. And what he says is what you want to test for in the mouth are these certain things. And he actually sent me Petri dishes and every supply to actually test the dentures. So what I did is I made a conversion out of pour acrylic. I made a conversion out of press pack acrylic. And then I made a denture out of IVO-base. We converted all three of those dentures. And then after the healing time, our prosthodontist took out the dentures. I swabbed them, put them in the Petri dishes, and let them cook. It took about 7 days to cook the bacteria. And you could actually see the differences and how much candida was building up on each different prosthesis.
Poor being the poorest.
Poor being the poorest, yes. And and when I saw my own personal results of the IVO-base being so superior to the other ones, I said, this is an easy answer to the question. I'm going to make every all-on-4, every denture with the IVO-base. So that's the question of what acrylic I use. I just use the top-of-the-line IVO-base for those cases.
Sure.
I have heard good things about IVO-base as well.
It's an outstanding. It's a little pricey to come in, and you have to be meticulous when you flask it. There's really no room for error. But when it goes well, it goes really well.
Cool.
Yeah, that's what we do here. What about microwaving? I always hear about microwave dentures. Did you do those?
No, I microwaved probably 2 dentures, and I did that many years ago.
I was going to say, where did you pull that out of, Elvis? I've never heard of that.
I see it all the time online.
What?
People are talking about microwave dentures. I swear.
Oh, yeah. It's actually, the last 2 years, it's came back pretty hot and heavy with the GC America microwave acrylic. And there's a lot of my buddies out there that are having great success with them. I just don't do it because I invested heavily in the IVO-base system.
Sure.
Also, when I did the 2 cases that I microwaved, they were kind of like a beta test for the flask. And the flasks at that time were the plastic screws, and they just weren't holding up to the abuse.
Yeah, I can imagine. You can't really microwave metal. So.
Denture teeth is another great topic.
Yeah.
And this is another topic where I tell all the technicians out there, is that the patients are paying a ton of money for these all-on-4s, anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 per arch.
Sure.
And the teeth have a lot to do with it because different teeth have different wear factors on them. So if we would go back to my original days and I slapped some Medicaid teeth in a bar case, the patient would actually wear through those teeth prematurely, and we'd have to replace those teeth. While on the other spectrum, the teeth that I use are primarily from Ivoclar. I like to use the Fernaris teeth on those hybrids because of the fact that the wear resistant on their posterior teeth is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Interiors, that's where the Fernaris is kind of lacking. I like to use the blue line on my interiors because I do get a better selection, and it still has a nice aesthetic quality to them.
Yeah, they're beautiful teeth.
Yeah, and it's pretty much that you have a ton of molds to pick from. Wow, the Fenarises are beautiful, but you only have 12 different choices.
I've got a question. It's not a material question though. So I know something we were curious about. We had a couple podcasts ago. We interviewed denturists, and I was just curious if you've thought about it.
I thought about it heavily, as much as I actually talked to Todd at the college, and actually a couple years even applied to be a denturist. The thing with, I'm not going to leave Ohio because I think even Jeremiah is actually thinking about leaving Florida to become a denturist.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
With where I'm at right now with my prosthodontist, it's not feasible for me to shut the shop down and go somewhere else to become a denturist.
Yeah.
I will wait until Ohio becomes a state, and then I'll jump on it heavily.
Do you know if Ohio is fighting for it?
Oh yeah, we're fighting for it.
Yeah, good.
So obviously you're into a little bit of politics too, which I love. I'm all for changing laws and upgrading and all of that. So that's good. I like to hear that.
And I haven't even talked to dentists about this, the denturists. And they're like, this is crap. I went to, college for 8 years to become a dentist, and you guys are going to take this from us. And I said, no, you guys can still make dentures. The denturist is just a guy that makes dentures. But, a regular general dentist will only make 1 or 2 arches a year. And how can you really get proficient in processes and dentures if you're only doing a couple a year?
Yeah,
absolutely. A lot of them don't even want to do it.
No. And that's why at the prosthodontist, we do a ton. That's the issue with the general dentist. They don't want to lose it, but they also don't want to go to the heavy education of denture manufacturing anymore, because they don't even set teeth chairside anymore, face bow, any of that good stuff that we do.
Yep.
And even though they're taught that in school, once they get out of school, they're like, just slap an Alginate impression and give a mush bite and let's make a denture.
No doubt.
Oh, yeah. 0.001% has a face bow.
Right. And that's when I actually started out. And one of my good buddies is actually an instructor at the Dawson Academy.
Oh, wow.
And what he actually did was taught me a lot about the TMJ, the importance of face bow, the importance of a high-end articulator. And once I learned that, I've never had a cheaper articulator than a Stratus. I don't have any clamshell articulators. All the articulators I have are all fully adjustable. Mm-hmm. Every case that we do, even if it's a single crown, will either get face bowed or a Coist facial analyzer.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And that's how I talk to the dentist. I go, I can mount a case upside down and backwards on an articulator. Does it make a difference if you don't give me a proper face bow mount or a Coist? It doesn't matter because it's all arbitrarily.
I agree.
So, James, what lies ahead? You can't sit around and wait for Ohio to get its act together.
No, right now, myself and my prosthodontist are having a great time in dentistry. So right now, I'm going to be sticking here.
Yep.
Recently, I was picked up as an independent contractor for a company called In Sequence.
Oh, yeah. Good for you. Cool.
Mm-hmm. So I'm actually the chairside support service for Greater Cleveland for In Sequence. So if a dentist wants to do an In Sequence case and needs chairside assistance, they check a little box and the big hairy man shows up.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of new. Education with Straumann, they're pushing for more education. So we'll be doing more of that with Straumann coming up in the next couple of years. I'm really loving life where I'm at. I kind of think I'm up there on the food chain of removable technicians.
Oh, yeah.
It truly is. Like right now, my prosthodontist, he's been a pros for, hold on a second, how long have you been a prosthodontist for?
1989. So
he's been a prosthodontist since 1989. So his experience is second to none. So he's at the top of his career. I'm in the middle of my career, and both of them, it's a really good fit. Mm-hmm. And we're really doing some outstanding dentistry.
So are you going to be in Chicago 2019?
Absolutely. So that was one of my traditions that I've always had with my stepfather. Is every year we always went to Midwinter and we went to LMT. So usually on Friday, we will be hitting the McCormick Center because I do like the clinical side also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we hit the clinical side on Friday, and then Saturday we'll actually go to the lab day.
Yeah.
Excellent. Are you speaking?
Last year I spoke. This year it was just too hectic, so I'm not doing anything this year. Just
at least you can enjoy the show then.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah.
So when you guys lecture, who does your photography? Do you both like to do photography?
Well, both of us are very heavily into photography. That's actually another funny point is with the photography, when my stepfather purchased my first camera because, these big high-end cameras cost a ton of money.
Yeah.
Sure.
He actually said, if you want to get hot and heavy on the lecture circuit, you got to do more photography. So I said, okay. The thing was, being, Marine for so long, he gave me this really high-end camera. I didn't barely know how to turn the damn thing on. So I kind of felt stupid. And actually, I signed up for the community college and did the photography program. Mm-hmm. That actually catapulted the career even more because it's so hard to lecture without a visual on, behind you.
Sure.
That actually catapulted the career because the photography, even going to community college to learn how to use this damn thing, the photos started becoming so great that it became one of my hobbies is photography.
Cool.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the pictures you were going to send me, I thought to myself, you know what? I bet he's a really sharp photographer. So
Yeah, I do love it. I do love it.
cool.
Sometime you'll have to teach me what f-stop is. I get so confused.
It's the focal length of like how much is in focus.
You're talking a foreign language to me, man. I was hoping you were going to say all the photos were taken with my iPhone, and then I could just be like, right on, I'll just get the new 10. And I'll
Well, actually, I do a lot of videos for the DTG site and some of the Denture sites, and all the videos that I do are actually taken on the iPad.
Oh, nice.
No, nice.
So if you see the big hairy man doing a video, it's on an iPad.
iPad, there you go. Well, I appreciate it, James. Thanks so much for coming on and telling us about your story and sharing some knowledge that you've picked up over the years. I don't think we've barely scratched the surface, honestly.
We can keep going if you want.
I'll tell you what, we'll have you back on sometime. How's that?
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, maybe we can do a dual interview with you and your doctor that I can't pronounce his name. That would be fun because I know he's sitting there listening, and I bet you he's just like chomping at the bit to say something.
Oh, Dr. Delabrado, actually, he's looking through pans right now because I probably messed something up.
Well, if it's like any other prosthodontist, I don't want to hear about it. So.
No, he's a different breed in his own.
Yeah.
Sounds like you found someone that appreciates the laboratory side, which is rare sometimes. So.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And we didn't rag on him too much. So, I actually really do respect that level. And you guys are amazing. We have to rag on you a little bit because it's just how it goes. So, sorry.
Oh, absolutely. Wait until we do a combo with them. Then we'll really dig in deep.
Nice. Thank you so much. We thank you for your time.
Yep.
Hey, Barb and Elvis, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I've been a long-time listener. So.
No, we appreciate you listening. Thank you so much.
Yep.
We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
You're welcome.
Yep.
Have a great
Bye.
day.
You too.
A big thanks to James. If you're coming to Lab Day in Chicago in less than 2 weeks and you see a big bearded guy walking around, make sure you mention that you heard him on Voices from the Bench. I'm sure he'll get a kick out of it.
And he was a very popular guest.
Very popular. I also wanted to thank Jason Kaiser from Kettenbach for introducing us to James. Jason reached out to us about the podcast, and I asked if he would be interested in coming on to talk about impression materials. Since Kettenbach is a company that makes impression materials. But he said he had someone better. Thus, we got the Denture Man. Thanks again, Jason and James.
Thanks, guys.
I can't stress enough how important it is for a technician to learn the clinical side to become a better technician, especially on the removable side. Speaking of LMT Lab Day in Chicago, we are excited to be set up to record with so many great potential guests just walking around. Stop by our booth and say hi. If no one is sitting and you want to be on the show, please feel free to sit down and we can chat. If you see us recording and can't find the time to sit down with us, send us an email and we'll contact you later to set up an interview. And if you haven't already looked into signing up for the Cal Lab meeting, one of the best business management meetings of the year, Barb, you're on the board, right?
Yep.
And I'm there every year.
It's going to be a great meeting this year. Great content, great meeting, great networking, great people. Nothing like it. 100 years old, just about.
So head over to callab.org. That's CAL-LAB.org to see the great lineup of speakers. I'm super excited for Frank Spear. And know that you can register even at the meeting on Thursday, February 21st. See you there.
Yep. Show up.
Again, a big thanks to Noack Dental Supplies for their support and sponsorship of the show.
And congrats on your 75 years, guys. That's awesome. I'm around 46, I think. That's amazing. That shows, I think his dad founded it, obviously. He's second generation. But that's pretty cool. And coming from myself and my company, they have great prices. So check them out. Very competitive, and they beat most of the other vendors I work with.
Be sure to come see us and them in 2 weeks at LMT Lab Day Chicago. And be sure to come back next week as we get back into the Roundtable episode.
Thank you, Noack Dental Supplies.
All right, take care, everybody. Have a good one.
Have a great week. See ya.
Bye. I'm gonna hit puberty here.